There are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Good afternoon, and what a lively beginning to our show. We've got someone very special here today, but I am Frank.
And I'm Ruslan, and welcome to
the Cool Classics. Here we are again. It's great.
From Los Angeles, live.
LA Talk Live.
Yay.
And we hope today that you will tune in and listen to our amazing guest. Exotic, but modern as can be.
But this is unusual.
Yes, we have an unusual.
We have a lot of deviations from our standard.
We really do.
Yeah.
And another deviation is we actually have a call-in line today, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You want to give that number?
So, United States, +1 323 Los Angeles 473 3100. Once again, 323 473 3100. Call the studio, ask our guest all kinds of questions. And, normally, Frank, we would start with introducing some kind of pieces that will be, played in its entirety in a week on our show, and then we'll bring the guest. But today, the guest is of such importance and of such interest that we decided, why don't we spend the whole hour with our guest? Right,
but you will be hearing some music from the country of origin of our guest and loving it.
And another thing we said from the very beginning, we are staying away from politics.
Oh, do we have to do that? I guess we do. All right, we'll stay away from politics.
And guess what? Our guest today is a Consul General of Azerbaijani Republic. His name is Nasimi Aghayev. He was appointed Consul General in the United States of America by President of Azerbaijan in 2012. He's an exceedingly educated man. He holds Masters of European Law degree from Europe Institute of the Saarland University in Germany. He holds Bachelors of Art and Masters of Arts degrees in International Relations from the Baku State University, Azerbaijan. He also wrote a book that's called Humanitarian Intervention and International Law, NATO Operation in Kosovo. He speaks 7 languages, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And those are English, French, German, Russian, Spanish, Turkish, and Azerbaijani, of course. Well, we can definitely, confirm Azerbaijani. I, being Russian, had a chance to speak with him in Russian language. He said that he's truly fluent in the Russian language. You will hear him speak in English today, or maybe some other languages as well. So, Consul General of Azerbaijan, Mr. Nasimi Aghayev, please welcome to Cool Classics. You are the first Consul General on our broadcast.
That's right.
Not the last.
We sincerely hope.
We're starting a trend here on LA Talk Live. It's really great.
So, did I forget anything out of your broad activities?
Yes. You pretty much covered everything. Just to add that. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
We're pleased you're here.
I'm very delighted, and our consulate has been opened here 10 years ago in the western region of the United States. We cover California and 12 other western states, and this is the only consulate general Azerbaijan has in the United States. So it's pretty much interesting to be here.
Very important.
Consul Aghayev, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your country, where it is. I have a wonderful map, and I showed it to my wife this morning. She said, I see now where that beautiful place is. And I think our listeners would like to know know a little bit about the size of the country, a little bit of its history.
Yes. Azerbaijan is located in Eurasia, in the Caucasus region. They're right at the Caspian Sea, which, as you know, is the largest lake in the world. So Azerbaijan's neighbors are Russia, Georgia, Armenia, Turkey, and Iran. And it's a country of around 10 million population, 9.6 million population. And the size of the country is comparable to the country of Austria, or in terms of the United States, the state of Maine.
Right, I was going to say that, state of Maine.
State of Maine. Mm-hmm. So it's a modern country. It's an ancient culture, ancient history. And at the same time, it's a young republic. This year, it's going to be 25 years since we restored our independence.
Wow.
We say restored because Azerbaijan had already an independent statehood in 1918, for 2 years before the Soviets came as uninvited guests and put an end to that independence. So we became part of the Soviet Union for the following 71 years. But in 1918, we established our first statehood, and it was the first secular democracy, a parliamentary democracy in the Muslim world.
Okay, so I have a question. Prior to 1918, whenever I was researching, it looks like Azerbaijan was a part of Russian Empire, right? And it's an oil-rich country. And in the 19th century and beginning of 20th century, Azerbaijan was producing over 50% of all the oil that was produced in the world. Is that
exactly?
Right? Yeah?
Exactly. Before 1918 and before the October Revolution in Russia, Azerbaijan was for about over 100 years part of the Russian Empire, as other countries of the Caucasus region. And yes, Azerbaijan was one of the main centers of the global oil production. And you're right, half of the oil in the world was being produced in Azerbaijan, in Baku. We had all the big names of then oil industry, like Nobel brothers, Rothschilds, Rockefellers.
So the Nobel Prize started in Azerbaijan.
Yes, actually that's true. Adolf Nobel was never in Azerbaijan. Alfred Nobel, he was never in Azerbaijan, but he sent 2 of his brothers to go to Russia actually to look for wood. And they said, someone told them in, I think, Petersburg, that you can find a lot of wood in Azerbaijan. So they came down to Azerbaijan to find wood, but they found more petrol that they could use.
More valuable. More valuable.
Now we have the Nobel Prize. Isn't it wonderful?
And around 30% of the Nobel Prize Fund was made with the fortunes the Nobel brothers made in Azerbaijani oil industry. So and some of the first in the oil industry, oil history are connected with Azerbaijan, like the first oil well that was dug in Azerbaijan in 1848. Many think it was in Pennsylvania in 1859.
That's right.
But it was 11 years before that it was in Azerbaijan. The first oil tankers, oil pipelines, etc. So big oil
now
history.
you're still a very powerful oil-producing nation?
Exactly. Yeah. It's now, since we restored our independence, we invited foreign oil companies, especially American and European oil companies, to come and help us develop these oil resources with modern technology, because all we had was outdated Soviet technology. So in 1994, we signed this contract of the century. It was called, actually, Contract of the Century, with all foreign companies, which has brought billions of dollars investments in our economy. And today, Azerbaijan is around 75% of the region's economy. The poverty rate has been decreased from 50% in 2001 to under 6% now, thanks to the smart management of all the oil and gas resources, natural gas.
I read an interesting fact just this week about Azerbaijan, and it really struck out at me. I noticed you have a 100% literacy rate.
Exactly.
We can't even, we don't have that here in the United States.
Exactly. Education was always a high priority. And, of course, there are lots of things to say negatively about the Soviet Union, but one thing they did very right was to pay a lot of attention to education. So the education level rose in Azerbaijan during the Soviet times. We had lots of universities and schools, etc., even in the remotest villages of the country. And so we built on that tradition when we became independent again. So now, during the last few years, Azerbaijan has built additional 2,000-3,000 schools in the country.
Okay.
That's
so now,
remarkable.
yes, around almost 100% literacy level has been
but-
achieved.
And how do you, so school is probably up to about age 17 mandatory, or 18 or something like that?
It's yes, from 7 years, from 7 till it's like 17 years old.
Okay.
Around
Now, what
10,
happens?
10, 11 years old of
now,
education.
what about
we want to extend it.
What about after the school term of the 7 years? How are students? How do students go to college and university in Azerbaijan?
We have a centralized admission system. So once they graduate from high school, they apply for that, and then they participate in this centralized test. So on one day, thousands of students they take exams. It's a kind of multiple choice exams, most of the part. But for like musicians, artists, they have also kind of so-called talent exams. So they have to show their talent. So and then once accepted, they get tuition. It's free.
It's free.
So it's free for for tens of thousands of Azerbaijani students.
Does the person has to be Azerbaijani citizen to get that free education?
Exactly.
Okay, people, we are moving to Azerbaijan. Everyone who
your
wants to get
population will be
free-
50 million in about 10 years.
welcome. That will be our contribution.
All right. Well, there is a remarkable music heritage, remarkable music tradition in Azerbaijan, and I made a little research. Apparently, the first people appeared on the territory of Azerbaijan as long as 10,000 years ago, and many hundreds years ago, a musical tradition called Mugam appeared, and we have a little video here about Azerbaijan with Azerbaijani Mugam, which was in 2003 recognized by UNESCO as acknowledged for the authenticity, richness, and cultural significance, both national and global culture. And apparently, this exact Mugam was that melody that you guys are going to hear was included into the Voyager's, the space shuttle. What is it? 30 most important.
1977.
Yeah,
Exactly.
1977. That space shuttle, the Voyager, that was sent outside of. It's outside of solar system now. So it has this Mugam recorded as an example of humanity to whomever will catch that Voyager, I guess.
Exactly. When NASA was producing this two identical Voyager spacecraft to send with a specific message from Earth to the any extraterrestrials that might be there, they said let's put together also something about the music of this world, and they went through thousands of songs from different cultures. And Carl Sagan, who led the project, they somehow came across this Azerbaijani Mugam music. So they loved it so much, they decided to include it as well in 1970s. Right. So it was made part of this very small and exclusive collection of 27 songs. And so one of them is Sure, this Mugam piece, like 3-minute piece from Azerbaijan.
And I will tell you why
so
they
it's now
chose.
flying.
I'll
Still
tell
sending
you
messages.
Why they chose it? Because Mugam is the only example of folk music that has a very strong theoretical system. In fact, there is a book written by a famous Azerbaijani composer, Aghayev, describing that. So the Mugams, they have that was called keys. So it's, in the standard music, you have 30 keys. With Mugams, if I'm not mistaken, and someone can prove me wrong, I think there are 17. And each Mugam has it's essentially a combination of those keys and that what they call symphonic development. The performance of the Mugam has both a structure and improvisatory character. And sometimes Mugam, if the true professional Mugam player would start improvising, can go for hours. It's truly remarkable art. And let's watch it right now and listen for it, and we will continue our conversation about the wonderful Azerbaijani culture. Are we? Oh, it's still
Are we in again?
Are we in? Microsoft.
Ah.
Great.
Well, we're back after hearing that Mugam, which is really quite amazing. And as a musician, I'm listening to it and trying to analyze it, because if you notice, as it plays, you have a drone tone. And then you have this wonderful, wonderful, almost improvisatory
That's
thing.
correct.
Exactly.
Now, tell us
That's
about
good.
the instrument. Are there separate instruments playing the drone tone and playing the upper piece, the upper part?
This piece is a bagpipe.
It's a bagpipe.
Bagpipe.
All right,
Now,
so- all right,
bagpipe
all right.
it's primarily played in the region called Nakhchivan of Azerbaijan, very famous. And by the way, it's very interesting. This recording was made in Moscow
Really?
of like in 1956. So they collected different folk songs from across the Soviet Union, put it in one
CD.
not CD back then, like
Long
the
place,
vinyl.
yeah.
So and then somehow it got into the United States, and they picked this music from there. And now the hope is one day the extraterrestrials will find it and,
They'll
and make
find
the
it.
device and listen to it.
They'll find it and they'll recognize Azerbaijani culture as it deserves.
But, I think what we should bring to everybody's attention, that Azerbaijani culture is not only about Mugam, because Mugam made its way into many other types of music, like jazz, for instance. In fact, Azerbaijani has that what they call jazz Mugam, right? It's truly one of a kind thing. And there was a famous musician, Aghayev Zadeh. He unfortunately died in 1979. So he is kind of credited with creating jazz Mugam. Now, jazz Mugam is based on the same model forms as the scales of Mugams. However, it doesn't have that exact rhythmical or metered structure. The performer who plays jazz Mugam is supposed to improvise, essentially on the spur of the moment. So I hope that Richard, our producer, will put the example of jazz Mugam performed by Aghayev Zadeh right now, played on the piano, which is the European kind of style instrument. Okay, we're back.
We're back. And actually, we were talking, and our Consul General, Nasimi, has a quote about this piano playing.
Yes.
And he would like to talk us about
Aghayev
that.
Zadeh was, of course, one of the major jazz pianists of Azerbaijan, and he was called the architect of jazz in Azerbaijan. As you know, in the beginning, jazz was banned during Stalin times in the Soviet Union.
All right.
So Baku became one of the jazz centers of the Soviet Union, where people would play underground.
Okay, sure.
And a lot of bands would be created underground again.
Yeah, sure.
But then, of course, the ban was lifted, and a lot of jazz musicians emerged. And one of them was Aghayev Zadeh, who was extremely popular. And he actually also attracted attention from one of the famous jazz musicians of the United States, Willis Conover. In the 1960s, he had a program called Jazz Time. And when he listened to Aghayev Zadeh, this is what he said, quote, "Aghayev Zadeh is an extraordinary pianist. It's impossible to identify his equal. He's the most lyrical pianist I have ever known." So that was a big appreciation.
Big appreciation of the music.
And he also won several international competitions for jazz music. And his daughter, actually, is now a very famous jazz musician in Germany.
Ah,
Her name is Aziza, and they call her Jazziza.
Oh,
I love it.
Jazziza. Yeah.
and just for all listeners of ours, you guys will be able to hear all this music in its entirety next week at 1 o'clock at the Cool Classics. Okay.
And by the way, we should mention again that you can call in on our show
Oh, yeah.
today. If you call 323, that's in the United States, 323-473-3100. You can talk to us. You can ask questions of us or of our Consul General Nasimi. And I think you'll find some interesting answers. So do call in.
All right. So I have a question. So obviously, you being Consul General and with the background education that you have, your subject of work largely is language. Why don't we talk about Azerbaijani language? And why don't we kind of, if you can give us a little bit of the background, where this language comes from, what kind of language it is. And the reason why I'm plugging this question is because I'm kind of trying to lead it toward Nasimi Ganjavi, who is a famous Azerbaijani poet of 12th century, whose poetry survived through almost a millennia now. So Azerbaijani language, couple of words about it, please.
So Azerbaijani language is a Turkic language. It's close to the Turkish language, for example, or some other Turkic languages which are spoken in Central Asia, like Kazakh, Turkmen, Uzbek, and others. Even like the Tatar language, Bashkir language in Russia,
So
or Crimean Tatar language. They all have same roots.
So if we go to Kazakhstan and start speaking Azerbaijani, will they understand?
They will understand partially because even in that family language subgroup, actually, there are other small groups. Azerbaijanis understand the Turks the best and the Turkmens. And
I
also
see.
Tatars, but Kyrgyz and Kazakhs understand each other better. So it's part of the Altaic language family, which actually includes, for example, the language like Korean. So Korean or Hungarian or Estonian and Finnish.
Wow.
They're all in the same language family and have the same roots. So it's widely spoken in Azerbaijan, of course, but also in Iran, by the way. In Iran, you've got 30 million Azerbaijanis living in that country.
Wow.
Out of around 80 million population.
That's a lot.
30 million.
30
So
million.
more
30.
Azerbaijanis live in Iran than in Azerbaijan.
3 times more Azerbaijani. So if
Whoa,
it's practical, very practical.
Yeah.
If you speak Azerbaijani, you can speak to 40, 50 million Azerbaijanis in the world, plus like around 100 million Turks. So try to learn Azerbaijani. Highly recommendable.
How amazing.
So in Azerbaijan, it's very well developed. We've got institutes learning and studying this language and bringing new words to the language, inventing new words. So it's always in evolution.
Okay, so Nasimi Ganjavi, the famous poet, Azerbaijani poet, philosopher, who, by the way, that's a question. When I was making my research, I found out that he was married 3 times.
Yeah.
Now, Frank, in I think either it's in Saudi Arabia or somewhere, even now, you can have 4 wives. How's it in Azerbaijan?
Also in Utah.
Can we have 3, 4, 5 wives?
No.
No, not really.
What would you do?
Not really.
Just
we found
one wife.
the flaw, Frank. We found the flaw.
Unlucky. No, just one wife. Yes, because the law doesn't.
Does the wife have to wear the hijab and all that?
No such. Azerbaijan is a secular country. So it's a 95% Muslim population, but it's staunchly secular. Government, the religion is completely separated from the government. And actually, as I said, we actually started it. In 1918, we established the first secular government, republic, democracy in the Muslim world. In 1919, Azerbaijan became the first country in the Muslim world to give the voting right to women.
Wow.
In even 1 year before the United States.
Before the United States.
We beat the US for 1 year in that term.
That's another fact. That we
Women, time to move to Azerbaijan.
well,
What can we do?
So women
forward with
emancipation.
women. That's right. Yeah, this is great.
All right, so Nasimi, what language did he write? He wrote it 800 years ago, all his poems, right? Still very actual nowadays, and very shortly we will listen for a song composed by Eric Clapton that's done on the poem lyrics of Nasimi, as a matter of fact. So, couple of words about Nizami.
So Nizami Ganjavi is one of the most famous poets of Azerbaijani literature. His most famous works were Khamsa, which is the 5 big stories or poems. And one of them is Layli and Majnun.
We will be talking about it.
So Nizami wrote all these works, and he influenced the aftercoming poets significantly in that part of the world, in not only in Azerbaijan but also Iran and the other Middle Eastern countries. So his literary influence was tremendous, and even he influenced Eric Clapton now with this. But Nizami Ganjavi is very revered. Even the German philosopher and author Johann Wolfgang Goethe, he mentioned in his Ostdivan Nizami's heritage specifically. So today you've got statues of Nizami in Azerbaijan, in Rome, and in other places. So a lot of
I know that he's popular also in Iran, Kurdistan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, like all of them. But was he writing in Azerbaijani?
Back then, the language of literature was Persian. So he was writing in Farsi. He was writing in Farsi, but he lived in Ganja, which is the second largest city of Azerbaijan. Actually, he never left Ganja.
Really?
He always stayed in Ganja, but from his works you can see that he possessed such a huge knowledge of like philosophy, religion, art, and literature. But he managed to learn all that just being in Ganja, because Ganja was one of the main centers of science, education, art back then. So
And where is this city, Ganji, in
it's
relation to Baku?
It's around like a 6-hour drive from Baku. It's in northwestern part of the country.
You know what I wanted to ask? What kind of climate do you guys have in Azerbaijan?
Climate, it's diverse. Azerbaijan actually is a very small country, but with a very diverse geography. We have high mountains, 4,500 meter high.
Wow, 10,000-15,000 feet, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Baku itself is 28 meters below the sea level.
Really?
Wow.
It's the lowest lying national capital in the world.
Wow.
So Baku. So Baku's temperature I would compare to that of Washington D.C., for example. So mild winter and hot summer, but in the mountains, of course, the climate is different. Out of 12 climatic zones or climate zones existing in the world, Azerbaijan has got 9.
Wow.
So it's as diverse in a very small country. So it's diverse from subtropical to mountain temperature.
And how much space is it on the actual Caspian Sea? How many miles would it be?
It's around 700-800 kilometers. So
kilometers.
It's about 1,000 miles.
Beautiful
or so,
beaches there.
Yeah.
Now new resorts are being built there, so people can come and enjoy.
So there's a lot of waterfront.
A lot of waterfront. Yes,
yeah, beautiful.
That's why sometimes in Baku we get cold winds, which come from the north through the Caspian Sea, or then warm winds then would come from the south.
Very interesting.
Place to go for vacation, guys.
Baku is also called the city of winds, by the way.
That's true.
It's Chicago of the Caucasus.
Okay.
All right, why don't we listen for Eric Clapton's song Layla, which is sung in English, actually not in Farsi, but English. The lyrics.
It's based on the Layli and Majnun poem by Nizami Ganjavi. So and it's called Layla. Layla, and actually in 1993 this song got the Grammy Award.
Wow.
Best rock song.
Great.
So guys, we are gonna listen for Eric Clapton, and then we'll have a little commercial break. Stay with us, and we got a lot of interesting things for you for the next half hour. Cool classics.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. J, inviting you to join us every Tuesdays at 11 a.m. for the Happy Health Radio Show. Join us as we discuss issues affecting your health and well-being, where we listen, analyze, and talk with a heart. So don't forget to tune into Happy Health Radio Show every Tuesdays at 11 a.m., exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio. Or just watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Welcome, this is Greg, inviting you to tune in Saturday, 6 p.m. to the Mystic Ballroom. All vinyl most of the time, and we'll cover psychedelic, soul, garage, and much, much more. Myself and the Young Mogul will bring you this every Saturday at 6 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365 Radio, Flag, TuneIn Radio, AHA Radio, TV Radio, and Apple TV Radio. Or you can watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for yours and mine listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Good afternoon. Here we're back again on the Cool Classics.
Yeah.
And I know who you are.
And I know who you are.
You're Ruslan.
And you're Frank. Are you Frank?
I'm Frank. Always, always Frank. And you know, on this show we have the wonderful Consul General of Azerbaijan here in Los Angeles, Nasimi Aghayev. And we can talk live. So please call us at 323-473-3100 on LA Talk Live.
All right. Well, guys, we are listening right now for Fikret Amirovs. He's an Azerbaijani composer. It's called Suite on Azerbaijan Folk Tunes. And this is the third movement. You will hear it in its entirety next week.
Yeah.
Yep. As well as a few other pieces. And back to our guest. Why don't you talk a little more about the diversity of the... So, I read that Azerbaijan is a predominantly Muslim country, right? And Shiites, Muslim
Shiites, yes.
Shiites. Okay. And there are Sunnis as well.
Exactly.
And we said that we are going to stay away from politics. But with everything what's going on in the world, can you please explain us what's the difference between Shiites and Sunnis? And who is dominating the world now? And
Actually, it's less about the domination and the difference. Actually, and the example of Azerbaijan shows that there isn't much difference. We are all human beings, and we can live together peacefully in harmony, respect each other. So it's possible. So Azerbaijan, as you said, is a multicultural country and a multi-religious country. The country is sometimes called land of flames, land of fire. And the roots of that is that we had the Zoroastrian religion actually was came about on the historic territory of Azerbaijan. Close to Baku, you've got a fire temple that was built by Indian Parsi, who still make pilgrimages from India, like the southern India, to that place. So it's that's why it's called land of flames, land of fire. But at the same time, Azerbaijan is one of the ancient nations where Christianity was adopted as a state religion.
Wow!
It happened in Azerbaijan in 313 A.D. that the Christianity was adopted as a state religion of this country. And also, you know, we've got, of course, now large Christian minority, around 500,000 Christians, Orthodox Russians, Belarusians, Ukrainians. We've got Georgian Christian community. We've got Lutherans, evangelicals, of course, Catholic Church. So large Christian community. At the same time, we have a large Jewish community of about 30,000 people who have lived in this country for about 2,000 years.
Wow.
without ever facing pogroms, discrimination, and often great Jewish leaders call Azerbaijan a land of no anti-Semitism.
Wow.
Interesting.
Now we know,
It's-
Frank, where the Jewish people escaped from Egypt. They went to
They went to
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's very possible. you
Exactly,
know?
and now that's why it's a model, a successful
Mhm.
model of peaceful coexistence, which I think, we hope that can be replicated in other places of the
Mhm.
world where there are so many problems. And it's not only just about a religious harmony between different religious communities in Azerbaijan. It's also about the harmony within Islam itself, which is of a great importance.
Mhm.
In Azerbaijan, which is a majority Shiite population, you've got like 75% Shiites and the rest are Sunnis. There are no problems between the two denominations of Islam. So Shiites and Sunnis have coexisted peacefully for centuries. And as government, we try to foster those traditions. Like a couple of months ago, we launched at our largest mosque the unity prayer, which will happen every Friday. Or actually has been happening already every Friday, where Sunnis and Shiites come together and pray together,
Wow.
and the imams take turns. So it's also a message to all those places where there are confrontations, divisions, sectarianism, that it's absurd. We can live together, we can love each other. The fighting is not needed.
Why don't we listen right now for another example of Azerbaijani mugam that's recorded by an ensemble called Land of Flames, and this mugam is called Son of the Sky Rhythmic Mugam, and that's a true original mugam. And please guys, listen how the singer sings. You will hear this remarkable, incredible trills that the singer does through really wide intervals, which is appropriate only for Azerbaijani mugam. I don't know any other example of such.
No,
type
and
of
I
singing.
and I
Yeah.
actually was practicing part of the style on my own voice.
It takes a lot
Because I
of
liked it.
it takes
You'll
a
make
lot
it.
of practice
It's
to
more.
get
I
these things
like
done. So please.
Can you believe that voice? It's an incredible sound, an incredible technical feat to be singing in that style with those trills and the voice going between two different things and still keeping it in tune like that with the background. It's really virtuosic.
How do we call it, Frank? Is this bel canto?
No, it's Azerbaijani canto.
Canto.
It's Baku canto.
Baku canto.
Baku canto.
So we have a few more examples of Azerbaijani singers singing, and those are not folk sort of background singers. They're professionally trained
Right, right.
singers from the beginning of 20th century up to the contemporary days, and we thought might be interesting to play it for you guys just to show how it evolved within just a span of the century. And Mr. Consul, maybe you could tell us a couple of words about the first operetta that was composed, right, in the Muslim world,
Exactly.
called Arshin Malalan, the Cloth Peddler.
Exactly. So the greatest, one of the greatest composers Azerbaijan has is Uzeyir Hajibeyov or Hajibeyli. So Uzeyir Hajibeyli, actually, he became the author of the first opera, which was Leyli Mejnun, based on the same story.
First opera in Muslim world?
First opera in the Muslim
in
world,
Muslim
also first operetta in the Muslim world.
Aha.
Wow.
So the opera was Leyli Mejnun and the operetta was Cloth Peddler.
Question.
Yeah.
I know that in some Muslim countries, particularly in the beginning of 20th century, women were not allowed on the stage.
Yes.
Was that the case in Azerbaijan as well?
Exactly, exactly. That's why when they had the first staging of this operetta, so men would have to play the female roles.
Wow.
So, but most of the men back then had mustache.
Uh-oh.
So, and they had to then shave off their mustache, and because or some of them were not able to do it, they didn't want to do it, so they hid the mustache under a veil.
Wow.
But you know, that was a big sacrifice from those actors for the sake of art. And
It is, but you know, in a sense, it sounds somewhat conservative because women were not allowed on the stage, and yet putting it in modern parlance, it was pretty advanced because they were dressing as
But
women.
by the same
But
token,
then-
they were allowed to vote. They didn't have to wear a hijab or
This
any
was
of that.
in 1913.
It's so interesting.
Oh, so that was before
It was
that.
before the vote,
1913,
yeah.
the first operetta was staged, and yes, 6 years later, Azerbaijani
And the
women
vote came.
got the voting rights. So, and that all changed. Then the woman went to the stage. We had the actually first female woman singer on stage in the Muslim world as well.
Was the
So-
concert sold out?
So-
Do you know that?
Sold out.
I'll bet.
People would hang on the walls to watch it.
So
And
sometimes the art can be the predecessor of
Exactly.
the actual change, the progressive
bringing
change.
change
You
to the
never know.
country. And in this operetta, Cloth Peddler became so famous in the region that they would take out outside of Azerbaijan, and then they made a movie of this based on this operetta in 1945, which became a hit in the Soviet cinematography. It was translated into around like 80 languages and was shown in 130 countries.
Wow.
In China alone, it was the operetta Cloth Peddler was staged 300 times.
Really?
Wow.
Now, is the
and we brought it to Los Angeles
Yes.
3 years ago.
year
To
2013?
the 2013
Yeah.
to the Music Center, Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, and there it was performed to a crowd of 3,000 people
Amazing.
by Americans. So Americans would sing in Azerbaijani language,
Wow.
and all the dialogues, of course, were English. So it was a nice mixture. It was a very successful performance.
Is it still performed a lot in Azerbaijan?
A lot,
A lot,
yes.
a
Every
lot,
season, our opera theater
Yeah.
performs it. Of course, it's a very beloved.
So why don't we
operetta.
listen right now for an aria from this opera performed by Rashid Beybudov. He was a tenor of the beginning of 20th century. You guys will hear the difference between the folk singing and that what Azerbaijani professional singers can do. Frank, what do you think?
I love it. I really love it. I love the sound of his voice, and the music is really very beautiful.
And the language sounds very melodical, isn't it? Almost like Italian.
It seems like the language
isn't
works very, very well with the music.
it? So maybe you can tell us
But
what the
perhaps
song
if-
is
yeah,
about. Yeah,
Nasimi,
maybe you can
could
tell us
us
what
about the song.
The song is about love. So this young man wants to get married, and actually he wants to marry the person he has chosen, but now there are obstacles for that. So now he declares that I have troubles, etc. So that's how he explains his suffering.
And he can marry only one woman now. You know that's a
yeah.
problem.
Right.
So that's the story evolves. The story of Klos Peddler or Arshan Malalan evolves in Azerbaijan's Karabakh region, which is an ancient region and which has produced so many poets, but the writers and composers. Uzair Hajibbayev himself is from Karabakh region, from the city of Shusha in that region, the historical capital. So there, this young man, young merchant, wants to marry by his own choice. You know, back then, 100 years ago, there were lots of arranged marriages. But he says, I'm going to see first whom I'm going to marry and love her and then marry. But that's a bit challenging. So what he does, he disguises as a cloth peddler and goes in different houses, because only clothes peddlers
Can get into the
can
house.
into
And
house.
see the
And-
woman.
and
It's a great-
And see the woman because they
great
can't
way
right?
to find the woman, the future wife.
Right.
So that's the whole
Ah.
story.
Now, I have a question. In the household, who picks out the cloth peddler? The product?
father or
the father or the women pick out the
Only
cloth?
woman.
The
woman.
pick
So,
out the cloth.
so
that's how he
woman.
gets close
So
to the
then
women.
he was able to choose
Yeah.
the future wife, and
Yeah.
of course there was a mutual love.
Right.
So that's in general this whole operette is very simple, but it's a strong message against outdated traditions. So as you are absolutely right, so art can be predecessor for big changes to come.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's it, yeah.
Why not we move a little further to the second half of 20th century? We'll listen for a wonderful singer, Muslim Magamayev, who's an Azerbaijani singer. And now you guys will hear a truly European style of singing. And you'll hear this evolvement from the
singing
folk
Granada,
to the Granada,
a Hispanic song, Mexican
Hispanic
song,
song
yeah.
in Spanish.
He's doing it in Spanish.
language.
Cantare se vuelve gitano cuando es para ti. Mi cantare yo de fantasía. Mi cantare pro de melancolía. El mio te vengo a dar. Granada y era ensangrentada en parte de toros, mujer que conserva en grupo de los oscuros, de sueño rebelde gitana cubierta de flores, y beso tu boca de grana, jugosa manzana que me habla de amores. Granada, Manona.
So, Frank, what do you
Oh,
think
I
about
love
this?
it. I love
Yeah.
his singing of Granada. And he holds that one long note before the actual song being longer than any tenor I've ever heard. He's a good trait for a tenor.
He was called actually the Soviet Sinatra.
exactly.
He was so popular
Well,
in
he
the
must
Soviet
have been,
Union.
yeah.
Yeah, Soviet Sinatra.
It's a good voice.
Yeah,
and
sold out
lovely.
concerts,
Yeah, yeah.
truly
King,
remarkable.
king of songs.
That's right.
they call him.
Studied in Italy, I think.
La Scala,
La
they
Scala,
performed,
yeah.
they were
Yep,
visiting artists there.
yep,
so-
yep, yep.
Very good.
His grandfather was one of the founders of Azerbaijani opera.
Ah,
His name was also Muslim Magamayev.
now you have a national opera company in Azerbaijan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a huge opera and ballet theater, and they have a big. They have all kinds of plays, operas, ballets. And they're
Very big cultural center.
Exactly.
That's great.
Remarkable.
Great.
Shall we move to 21st
Let's move.
century now?
Yeah.
All right. So here is the piece composed by Frangiz Alizadeh. She is still alive. Well, she's very much alive. She's not still alive. She's very much alive. And she's Azerbaijani composer. She's a woman.
Yes.
And Kronos Quartet, the famous Kronos Quartet from United States, actually commissioned her to compose a number of pieces, and they released a CD with her music. She's remarkably known worldwide, guys, and this is a truly sophisticated music that's very much based on the Azerbaijani folk music as well. So we're going to hear right now, that was called Absheron Quintet, and she calls this movement Tactile Time. It's a Kronos Quartet plus one instrument. It's actually a quintet. And please listen for it. You will hear what Azerbaijani musicians are doing nowadays.
This is an amazing piece of music.
And look, it sounds like folk instruments,
sounds
right?
like
But it's
folk.
performed on the violins, a standard kind
It's
of instruments,
wonderful.
isn't
It's
it?
wonderful. You
It
get
is.
the color of the country.
Absolutely,
It's-
and the
yet
flavor
it's-
of
and yet
of
it's
the
so
culture, right?
so utterly contemporary.
Yep.
Marvelous. But what I would like to make one mention before we go on with Nasimi here, we are performing
Oh, yeah, we
next week,
Oh, yeah.
Ruslan and I, with the San Bernardino Symphony
Yep.
at the California Theater.
In the famous San Bernardino, guys.
Right, and that's on May 28th at 7:30 p.m. Ruslan will be playing the Tchaikovsky Rococo Variations
correct.
and the David Popper Hungarian Rhapsody.
And the Hungarian Rhapsody probably will be in a golden jacket, right?
Oh, a golden jacket. I
Yeah.
forgot about that jacket.
Yeah.
We'll get out the polish and, we'll get that jacket brighter than ever. And we're also doing Dvorak's 8th Symphony. So go to the website for San Bernardino Symphony .org, I believe. Is that right?
Or
Yes.
just Google San Bernardino.
Symphony.org.
Or just Google Frank Feta or
Or
Ruslan
Ruslan
Birukov.
Birukov.
Really easy to
Yeah,
find.
so we hope we see you in San Bernardino on May 28th.
It's a big show, 75-piece orchestra on the
That's
stage,
right. That's
2,000-seat hall.
Beautiful hall.
Yeah,
beautiful
so
hall.
come, it's truly
So
beautiful.
hopefully we'll be
in
doing some
downtown.
Azerbaijani music here in the
Nice.
future. Absolutely.
yes.
we
Wouldn't
will.
be amazing?
Because
Yeah,
I
exactly.
really, the symphonic stuff is really very exciting.
And speaking of symphonic stuff, the famous composer Aghayev.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next week, guys, you will hear his symphony, his actually suite, orchestral suite called Don Quixote, and everyone knows who Don Quixote
Don
is,
Quixote,
right? Yeah,
Don Quixote, or Don
yeah.
Quixote.
Don
whatever.
Quixote. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a little excerpt for you from actually his different suite called Seven Beauties. If Richard can play for us track number 11.
Ballet.
Yep, that's his ballet. But you guys will hear his suite Don Quixote in its entirety next week. We are.
Are we on?
Yeah,
Ah.
believe it or not.
We have beautiful background music of this ballet suite from Seven Beauties. Well, as you know, we're on the air here at LA Talk Live with Nasimi Aghayev, who is the Consul General of Azerbaijan.
And that what we just heard was Waltz from the ballet Seven Beauties
Seven
by
Beauties.
Exactly.
Aghayev.
Seven Beauties actually it's a emblematic of Azerbaijan's multiculturalism. It's a story of seven beauties from different cultures, countries.
Okay.
So it's also based on the same name poem by Nizami Ganjavi. And by the way, we brought this ballet to San Diego last 2 years ago. Again, like over 3,000 people came at the Civic Theater in San Diego and watched this ballet for the first time in the United States. So we tried to bring as much culture and music from Azerbaijan to here so that people can have a bit more knowledge about this country. It's because the art and culture is one of the best ways to get to know other countries, other people, and building bridges. That's what we are striving to do.
Well, we certainly have a charming Consul General who can make his case with his own personal.
Frank, do you want to go to Azerbaijan now?
I do.
This
I
is
do.
the moment.
I do, and
This
you know,
is the
one of the
moment.
things that is drawing me to Azerbaijan, not only this wonderful gentleman, and we have mutual friends, interestingly enough, which we found out this morning,
Exactly.
but this beautiful, beautiful series of buildings. Would you tell us about? Do you call them the Flame Towers?
Flame Towers, Land of Flame.
Yeah.
This is Flame
I
Towers.
hope that some people can see this.
Or
And,
just, you guys just can Google word Baku.
Yeah, this is
That's truly
unbelievable.
emblematic of,
Unbelievable.
Exactly.
of
I've not
It's a-
seen anything. I mean, they look like little jewels. They almost look like they're in the breeze, but the color
Exactly.
and the size of them and the symmetry.
These are the tallest towers in the entire region. So they
They're
are
wonderful.
so both
wonderful
modern
buildings.
architecture and medieval
and
architecture.
how they contrast in this
With the
picture.
waterfront,
It's
yes.
unbelievable. So I think it's some place to really consider to go.
come to Azerbaijan. It's modern, diverse, ancient culture and music. So people will
Is
enjoy
it expensive?
It's not that expensive. We are now developing tourism.
Mhm.
We try to attract as many tourists as possible. So yeah,
I know that you guys
it's worth
just build the ski resorts as well, right?
two of them.
Two ski
Two,
resorts.
yeah,
I think
two
there's a
of them,
picture.
yes.
Well, I saw the picture somewhere else.
Remarkable.
I'm not sure if I saw it here. But what would you want us to get out to the public to take from this wonderful meeting that we've had with you today about the importance of Azerbaijan in the world scene and also here in the United States? How can we become more familiar with Azerbaijan here in the United States?
So Azerbaijan is a friend of the United States. We are strategic partners with the United States. It's an important ally there in that important region with an ancient history, culture, music. So a lot to offer to the world with a multicultural model, multi-faith harmony. And, actually, yes, our consul here is in Los Angeles, where our doors are open. Whenever you want, call us, email us, contact us. We'll be always happy to help in as much as possible. And yes, come to Azerbaijan. That's the biggest message. Come to Azerbaijan and see that with your own eyes.
Now, another thing
Without
I would
beauty.
ask, and I think is important from the standpoint of the music, is it relatively easy to get a hold of Azerbaijani music, both in stores? There aren't
That's
too
a
many
good
stores.
question,
Yes.
Frank.
How
That's
do you
what I
do
was also-
this?
yes.
Yeah.
So now you've got a lot of Azerbaijani folk music, classical music on iTunes. You've got, of course, YouTube is full of Azerbaijani music examples, samples. So it's it's now much easier than it used to be, like 20
Right,
years ago.
right.
Yeah.
Of course, thanks to internet.
And to bring it closer to home, since you did the ballet, The Seven Beauties, in San Diego, and The Cloth Peddler here in Los Angeles, are there visual representations of that are people
Exactly.
are able to tune into websites where
Exactly.
they can actually see those?
Yes, on our channel on YouTube,
Oh,
which
good.
is
Okay.
AZ Consulate LA.
Great.
You can see the portions of those
Good.
operetta, Cloth
Good.
Peddler, and Seven Beauties.
Good.
Remarkable.
Good.
Remarkable. Well,
Well,
Frank,
here we
what do you
are at
think?
the end of this hour.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And
And
Nasimi,
an hour
we
wasn't
thank you.
enough, we
Yeah,
feel,
I
right?
I know. There's a lot to
Yeah.
talk about. It's an
Way too
ancient
much to
culture. It's a modern culture. It's a culture that
diverse
is very
culture.
vibrant. And it's also, more importantly, in my thinking, a culture that we should look to for the harmony that we're all looking for.
That's
Exactly.
correct. Yes.
The most
So
important.
we look toward you, Azerbaijan and Nasimi.
Thank you for coming.
here
We
are.
hope we
very
will
much.
see you
Come back
sometimes
again, and we'll see you
actually.
soon again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much. Thanks for
And
having
here
me.
we are at the end of our hour. We are the Cool Classics.
The
I
Cool
think,
Classics.
boy,
Yeah.
is
Frank,
that
are you
is
still
that
Frank?
Frankie? I'm still Frank,
And I'm still Ruslan.
and we are Cool Classics on LA Talk Live. Listen to our broadcast next week, and we'll see you back live in 2 weeks.
at latalklive.com.
Thank you for
guys.
listening and
you.
watching.
Anamın anasısan Azerbaycan. Pahalı yurdum Azerbaycan. Şivalı yurdum Azerbaycan. Sen eşkin zaferin, çarklayan Türk ezerin, güneşli al seherin Azerbaycan. Sen eşkin zaferin, çarklayan Türk ezerin, güneşli al seherin Azerbaycan.
Thank you for tuning into LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Stay tuned.